Hello and welcome back to our study of Peninei Halacha, the teachings of Rav Eliezer Melamed Shlit. We're moving along with our Mitzvot Bein Adam Lechaveiro. Today we have a short chapter, but each one of these, though perhaps brief in wording, are quite impactful, and I think heavy might be a word because very challenging for us to fulfill. The next one is L'daber l'sloch v'lisno. Al pi ma shelamadnu, b'fnei adam shene'alav v'nifga b'mechaveiro omdos rak shtei derachim. So based on what we've been learning, someone who's been insulted, someone who's been hurt by his friend. So you have two paths in front of you. Ha'achas l'hidaber mechaver k'dei l'sakenes ha'muvas. You could speak with your friend so that you could fix what's been broken. You can straighten out that which is crooked. And this is clearly the better path. However, if it's apparent and it's quite clear that we're not able to straighten out our differences, and maybe the friend won't even listen, etc., so you have a second path. And that is to forgive entirely the hurt and to remove the hatred from your heart. Of course, a person can be wary and perhaps stay away from this individual so you don't get hurt any further. But still, you have an obligation to behave towards that person with honor, with love, to help him with what he needs. The Rambam writes in Hilchos Deos, Perek Vav Halacha Tes, if someone sins against his friend or has his friend sinned against him, and he doesn't want to speak with him anymore, because the person doesn't want to listen, he doesn't want to deal with it, or perhaps his whole way of thinking is messed up. And the person who was hurt, he gave forgiveness in his heart. And there was no hatred. He bore no hatred. He didn't give him any reprimand. Harizu midas chasidus, this is considered a midah of chasidus. This is a pious way to behave. Lohakpid haTorah el al hamistema. He says the Torah is wants to make sure that there's no hatred between Jews. Kolomar, kashein secretly pitron tov. When there is no path, when there is no solution for a peaceful outcome in this sichsuch, b'derach shel hidabros b'shalom v'rayos, there's no way that they could speak nicely with one another and make shalom. Mutar la'adam limchos hasasina mehalev lishkoach mehanyan. Person can then just wipe the hatred from his heart, offer forgiveness, and then just forget about it. Kedai lasim lev l'siba shekasav Rambam. The Rambam writes, again, it's important to pay attention to what the Rambam writes, she be'atia lo niten lenehal sicha yanis, that in the case where the person doesn't want to engage in conversation, it's because the person is a hedyot, or he has a convoluted way of thinking. Generally speaking, where you would consider a person normal, of a normal state, so however, when it comes to these types of hurtful machlokas, again, people behave in very strange ways. People that might otherwise seem normal or maybe act normal towards others, you never know what sets a person off. And then you have to accept the fact that a person is not dealing with a completely full deck, so to speak, in the sense of acting in an appropriate way. And if you cannot approach that person who hurt you in an appropriate way and try to resolve it so you can stay away from the person, but at the same time offering forgiveness and hopefully wiping the sin away from your heart. So again, a very challenging, very, very challenging method to follow, because sometimes the hurt that we feel and the pain that's been inflicted upon us, and believe you me, I know from this, when you're in public and you're a public figure, you're subject to a tremendous amount of scrutiny, and people sometimes say awful, awful things. So you have to sort of see it where it's coming from or whom it's coming from, and you have to let it go. and you have to offer forgiveness, and you say, you know what, the person's not thinking clearly, the person is a hedjot, whatever it might be, but that helps you live a better life. Otherwise, you're walking around with all this acerbic hatred taste in your mouth, and you're not living your best quality life, and there's so many other better things that we can do with our time. So very, very important lesson here from the Rav, and I hope something that we can all take to heart, something we have to work on constantly. And I speak including myself as well in this category. Again, very, very challenging. But in any event, we continue our learning. Thank you so much for joining us, as we will see you here, God willing, next time, as we continue in these laws of Bein Adam Lechaveiro. Have a great day.